Improvement in any endeavor is about being honest about where we are, and then really framing a path forward to begin to improve. If we continue to do what we've always done, we're probably going to always get what we've always gotten, and that really is true when we look at instruction, what the teacher does, versus learning, what the kids do. So as we think about taking this critical lens to instructional design, a lot of it is looking at how we teach, why we teach, and what outcomes we're trying to do. A move to high agency approaches is a great first start. It's not that low agency, like delivering instruction, teacher centered, learning just in a classroom, content focused, is bad per se. It's bad per se if that's where we spend the majority of our time, and where many of our outcomes and activities align with. As we think about that critical lens, moving to high agency is really about how we facilitate learning, moving to more student centered activities, learning anytime, anywhere, personalized, differentiated approaches, doing to learn instead of learning to do, application focus, ways to develop thinking, integrating activities, assessments throughout the curriculum, and providing active learning activities. But as we think about what goes on and what we can control, and really looking at instructional design, here's 5 areas that I think any teacher or administrator can focus on, as well as some questions that will give you the opportunity to reflect on where you are, in order to determine ultimately where you want to be and where your learners need you to be. You know, the biggest thing we can look at in instructional design is level of questioning. Are students being asked questions at the highest levels of Bloom's taxonomy? Do kids have the opportunity to develop and then answer their own higher order questions? Number two, authentic and interdisciplinary contexts. Is there a connection to help students see why this learning is important and how it can be used outside of school, not just what they learned? Number three, rigorous performance tasks. Are kids offered an opportunity to actively apply what they have learned and create a product to demonstrate conceptual mastery aligned to standards? As we think about the performance task, are kids not just thinking, but how are they applying their thinking? Number four, innovating the way we assess. Is assessment changing to provide critical information about what students know or don't? Are alternative forms of assessment being implemented, such as portfolios, to illustrate growth over time? And finally, number five, improved feedback. Is feedback timely, aligned to standards, specific, and does it provide details on the advancement to a learning goal? Again, it's not about throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Kids need to be able to read, write. They need to be able to do mathematics. But the key is improving outcomes. If all kids are doing the same thing the same way at the same time, it's very difficult to improve the outcomes for kids. Keep it simple, stupid. Are kids thinking? How are they applying their thinking? Look at what the learners are doing. Look at the level of questioning. Look at the level of the task. Is there a connection to why are we learning this? How can we use it outside of school? Are kids able to be involved in an experience? Not necessarily going through the motions, conforming, complying. Instructional design, just like everything else in the world, whether it's society or technology, has to adapt, has to evolve, has to change. But in order to improve outcomes, we as educators